What is going on, guys? Judo Sloth here and welcome to today's Clash of Clans video. Today we're going to teach you everything you need to know about how to use the miners at Town Hall 10. What exactly are you looking for and how do you use the troops and spells effectively? Getting into the first attack here, we have a number of examples. The final attack of the video is a very good one because it condenses all of the tips you're going to hear of these initial attacks into one attack in itself, so it's a very nice example of the miners at Town Hall 10. You can see that basically you do want to try and keep the miners into the base itself. You don't want them spreading out onto the outside, so what you will commonly see is, in simple forms, the king on one side and the queen on the other in order to set the funnel and keep the miners in the center of the base. Clearly heal spells are going to be good for the miners in terms of keeping them up. When you've got mass troops like that, they tend to be able to do enough damage by themselves. They don't necessarily need rage spells. They'll get through that much quicker and you'll end up wasting half of the spells. So the heal spells are far more beneficial, especially when you've got a lot of splash damage to consider in that of bomb towers, wizard towers, giant bombs. There's a lot there which is going to weaken this mass army. You can also see that there's a lava hound in the CC. That is another thing which you can take note in terms of the miners and definitely consider using. It's basically going to do nothing to the miners. If there's a balloon in there with it, which you can commonly see, you will need a poison for that balloon, but other than that, the hound isn't going to do anything. It's pretty much like attacking a base with no CC, as long as you can keep your queen away from that, because if the queen locks onto the hound, she's going to end up popping it, and then the lava pups, when there's a lot of them, can do damage to your miners. So as long as you don't pop the hound, you keep the queen well out the way, which with the miners you do tend to use the queen as a funneling troop and just sacrificially along the side, then you should be good in terms of getting through the base. Like we said, the lava hound isn't going to do anything. Now, you can take other spells alongside the heal spells. Again, you'll see at the start here, what we're going to do is basically set the funnel either side and use the wall wrecker to go through the base. What that gives you is a little bit extra tanking initially, and also then reinforces your attack with miners, or in some cases hog riders are quite good, because if you use a rage spell in that area, it can then get down some of the dangerous defenses. Now, what you'll often see at Town Hall 10 as well is the 2 single target infernos. That tends to be better for the miners than the multis, which are attacking them all, but even then it's not that big of an issue since you can heal through them. You do want to consider using a rage spell in that area where there's high HP. So check out the middle of the base here. There was the enemy queen, the CC, the inferno towers and wizard towers. They are high HP buildings but also do some damage. So when you're thinking about rage spells, you want to either use them in an area if there is really a lot of defenses which will hurt the miners, for instance a lot of wizard towers, or you can use them when there's a lot of HP. The miners are still going to be attacked from each and every angle, so if they are caught up on buildings such as the clan castles, such as storages, they're high HP buildings and they're gonna spend a bit more time getting through them. Meanwhile, the other defenses are shooting at them. You might consider using a rage spell then. Having said that, that's also something you can look at. If the storages are on the outside of the base, that's going to help the miners condense themselves onto the defenses, and that is exactly what you want. If the miners can concentrate on defenses and not on useless buildings in that of storages in the middle of the base, then they're going to get through them quicker. Ultimately, the defenses are what's going to take down your miners. You can see an example of that here where the storages are actually on the outside of the base. The miners in the center of the base only have to target defenses, so they're going to get through that quicker. Again, the exact same thing here. We do set up a funnel with the miners here a little bit, not so for the miners but for the king. We can then easily place him on this side and make sure he gets ahead of the miners, because when you're setting the funnel with your king and queen, you kind of need them to be that little bit ahead of the miners. If you can picture that, the miners will spread out to the side if you haven't already taken that out. So you do want the king and queen to kind of be ahead, if need be. You can put some troops behind the king. Wizards or baby dragons can often be good. For instance, in an area down here, if you were worried the miners were going to come out. But again, there's a lava hound in the CC, so miners don't have to worry. The other thing you need to take care of is the pathing of the miners. You want them to be quite condensed in the base in order to take through the defenses, but you don't want them too clumped. You can easily time fail if your miners are in one group. What you want to picture is sweeping through the base from one side to the other, so you can see how there's no defenses left in this base. The miners have taken a clean slate from one side to the other, and you kind of have them moving through in a line, not necessarily one group, but they're kind of spread out across the inside of the base. I hope that makes sense. That tends to mean that you can put 2 heal spells either side in order to hit all of the miners. If you're only using one, then they're too clumped basically. You don't even need that amount of spells to get through the base. If you had 4 heal spells right through the base, it wouldn't make a difference. You do want to try and split them up across the section of that base. However, some bases are designed more narrowly. That might just be how it is, but in general you do want to consider the amount of time it's going to take the miners to get through, and that's why having them sweep through the base like that does tend to be better. So this is the final attack. It's going to condense all of them tips we've given you into one bite-sized video. So king is on one side of the base, the queen is going to come down and funnel the other, and in comes the war wrecker. Now notice this area here with the wizard towers, that is dangerous for the miners. You have to have heal spells for that area, and again the queen's there, there's other defenses. That's a good place for the rage spell, guys, so take note of that. Poison onto the balloon, and again you have to get that balloon down. A freeze spell can be quite good. In this instance, had he not have used it on the balloon, if he thought he could get that down with proper poison placement, you could then use it on the wizard towers, but waited until the miners got through to that area where the inferno towers were for the heal spells. You'll commonly see giant bombs in them areas, and then when they get through, there's that rage spell to help them through the wizard towers alongside heal spells in that area as well. And when you get to the back end of the base like this, it is crushed. We still have the queen coming around. Again, we've kept the lava hound in the middle on the miners, so it's not going to do anything, and by the time even if the queen does lock onto it, it is too late. Again, think about poison spells as well in terms of skeleton traps. If they pop up in the middle of the base, they can really slow down your miners, so try and combine the poison spell, yes, that you're using on the CC onto the skeletons. And if there's a lot of skeleton traps in an area, for instance around a wizard tower where it's going to condense your miners, you might want to consider a poison spell for that as well. I hope that helped you with miners at Town Hall 10. That's going to wrap it up for this one. Peace out.